Warriors Nation, let's talk, because what we saw on Friday night wasn't just a preseason stumble, it was a flashing red warning light for a team with championship aspirations. Now, I get it, it's the preseason. The games technically don't count. But let's not kid ourselves. How you start sets the tone. And the tone the Golden State Warriors set in that loss? Not exactly one that screams title run. Here's what's crazy. The Warriors walked into that game with every reason to dominate. The Clippers were missing big names left and right. James Harden? Out. Chris Paul? Nope. Bradley Beal? Sitting. That's not even mentioning the rest of their regulars. It should have been a layup, right? A game where the Warriors starters establish rhythm. The young guys build confidence. And the team leaves the court with momentum. Instead, it was 48 minutes of trying to catch up, never fully in control, never truly threatening to take over. And the only time they held a lead? 2 minutes into the first quarter. After that, the Clippers took the wheel and never let go. Look, I know what some fans are saying. It's preseason, relax. But that's exactly why it matters. Preseason is where you build the habits that carry into the real grind. The Warriors didn't just lose a game. They missed a chance to set the tone, to tell the league, we're back, we're serious, and we're ready. And instead, they looked flat, unprepared, and dare I say, a little disjointed. Let's look at the core of the issue, your main guys. Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Al Horford. 3 veterans, 3 leaders, and all of them going to be relied upon heavily when the real games start. Between them, they logged 22, 30, and 20 minutes respectively. Not bad, right? But the energy? The urgency? Just not there. Even Brandon Podziemski got his 20 minutes of burn, and yet the Warriors were still clawing just to stay in it. That's not a good sign. Yes, some of it might be the rotations. Maybe the coaching staff wanted to see what the bench could do. Maybe they're trying to preserve legs before the storm begins. Fair. But even in that context, when you've got that much veteran talent on the floor and you're still chasing a team with no stars in the lineup, it raises real concerns. These are supposed to be the tone setters, the guys who anchor your identity. And if they're struggling to gain traction against second-string competition, that's a red flag. It's not even about the loss itself. It's how it looked. On paper, it was a 3-point game. But anyone who watched it knows it felt more like 10. The Clippers were in control. Every time the Warriors made a push, the Clippers punched right back. There was no stretch where Golden State dictated the tempo. No sequence where it felt like they'd seized momentum. That's the kind of thing that lingers, because in a league as competitive as the NBA, confidence matters. And this team needs to start building it now. And speaking of confidence, who's stepping up to help Steph? He dropped 20 points, as usual carrying the load. After him, the next highest scorer was a player who's not even guaranteed a major rotation role, finishing with 13. That's not the kind of offensive balance you want heading into opening night. This team has talent, but talent that doesn't show up when it counts isn't worth much. Then there's the curious decision surrounding the roster. Seth Curry getting released? Yeah, we all kind of saw it coming. His Exhibit 9 deal never guaranteed him a spot, and the front office clearly made their choice. But it still leaves a sour taste. Because if there's one thing the Warriors lack outside of Steph, it's reliable 3-point shooting. And last year, Seth was hitting from deep at a scorching 45%. That's elite. That's a guy who spaces the floor, keeps defenses honest, and gives Steph a much-needed breather from always having to be the savior. Sure, we've heard the rumors. Maybe he gets re-signed later on a cheaper, cap-friendly deal. Maybe it's just a numbers game. But it still begs the question, was there really no other way to make space? Couldn't the Warriors have moved one of their fringe contracts? Couldn't they have opened a lane for a shooter like Seth, who fits the system, the identity, and the need? Instead, the team signed DeAnthony Melton, who's recovering from an ACL injury and won't even be back until the end of October. That's a gamble. And meanwhile, you're letting a sniper walk, even temporarily, during a stretch where you need floor spacing more than ever. The shooting inconsistency in the preseason wasn't subtle. Outside of Steph, it was a parade of bricks. Horford had a few decent looks. Quentin Post knocked down a couple. But there was no rhythm, no trust in the perimeter game. And that's not going to cut it when you're trying to keep up with teams like the Nuggets or the Suns, who can fill it up from deep in a blink. And speaking of big men, let's talk about the center situation. Post logged 17 minutes, went 1 for 6, and finished with just 3 points. That's your only 7-footer right now. Let that sink in. The middle is a problem. Horford, for all his skill, isn't going to out-muscle guys like Jokic or Adebayo. And post, he's still figuring it out. That's why the Warriors need to move fast. Alex Len just got released. A big body who could at least give you a presence in the paint and spell Horford when the minutes stack up. A 3-man rotation with Horford, post, and someone like Len? That's manageable. But going into the season this thin in the front court, that's asking for trouble. It's not just about size. It's about toughness, rebounding, and rim protection. 3 things the Warriors desperately need if they're going to survive a Western Conference loaded with elite bigs. This isn't the old days where you could get away with small ball every night. The league has evolved. You need guys who can bang inside, alter shots, and eat up space. And it brings us right back to the bigger picture. The Warriors are staring down a brutal start to their schedule. 5 of their first 9 games are against playoff teams from last year. And their first NBA Cup qualifying game, it's against the Denver Nuggets. That's not a soft landing. That's jumping into the fire, which means these next few weeks are everything. You want to avoid stumbling out of the gate. You want to avoid injuries piling up, drama seeping into the locker room, or young guys getting overwhelmed. Because if you open the season at, say, 2-7, you're in a hole. And in this conference, it's hard to climb out of one. The idea is not just to survive this stretch, it's to make a statement. Come out swinging. Show the rest of the West that Golden State is still a powerhouse. That last year was a blip, not a trend. And to do that, they need to win games like the one against the Clippers. Not lose them. Not chase them. Not let rookies outplay their starters. And yes, I'm looking directly at that stat sheet. The Clippers' leading scorer? A rookie. Kobe Sanders. That's not a name we're going to hear a lot come regular season. At least not in big minutes. But he walked into that game and owned the moment. That's the kind of hunger that wins games. That's the kind of spark the Warriors should have had, and didn't. The bottom line is this. The Warriors can't afford to waste time figuring things out. The West isn't going to wait for them to gel. These early games count, not just on the scoreboard, but in the energy they build, the trust they form, and the tone they set. That's why the season opener isn't just another game. It's a proving ground. The Warriors are set to face the Lakers, and while some are already brushing it off because LeBron James might not play, that's not the advantage it sounds like. This version of the Lakers, the one built around Luka Doncic and a fully healthy supporting cast, might be even more dangerous. Think about it. Luka, like LeBron, is a ball-dominant star who thrives with the offense running through him. Now remove the redundancy of 2 high-usage guys sharing the court, and suddenly the offense has space to flow naturally. Luka gets to operate with freedom, and the pieces around him, guys like Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton, can play their roles without the friction of overlapping egos. If anything, this game is going to give us a look at what the modern Lakers are actually trying to become. And for the Warriors, it's a test of how ready they really are. Because this Lakers squad is going to come in hungry. It's their home opener at Crypto.com Arena. They're facing their longtime rivals, and they know all eyes are on this matchup. The narratives are already swirling. The Warriors are back. Golden State's the team to beat in the West. Steph's on a revenge tour. All that pressure is real. And you better believe the Lakers would love nothing more than to punch the Warriors in the mouth right out of the gate and derail that hype. But here's the upside. Golden State finally expects to be fully healthy for this one. Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, all expected to suit up and start. That trio, when locked in, is a nightmare to deal with. Draymond brings the defensive IQ, the physicality, and the vocal leadership. Jimmy is that two-way force who can take over late in games and never backs down from a challenge. And Steph, well, he's Steph, the best shooter in basketball history, the guy who can flip a game in 30 seconds. Add to that Al Horford stretching the floor, Pods bringing energy and hustle, and Jonathan Kuminga possibly leading the second unit, and you have a squad that can absolutely go toe-to-toe with anybody. But they have to come out aggressive. They can't afford to ease into the season, feel things out, and hope their chemistry will magically click in real time. That's not how championships are won. The urgency has to be there from the opening tip. Golden State needs to set the tone early. Fast pace, tough defense, active hands, smart rotations, and most importantly, trusting each other offensively. No more ISO-heavy possessions that stall the flow. No more long scoring droughts waiting for Steph to save the day. This has to be a team effort. That's why what happens in the first 9 games is so critical. There's no soft patch in that stretch. You're talking about playoff teams, gritty rebuilders, and trap games. The Warriors will face the likes of Denver, Sacramento, and Phoenix, all of whom are capable of out-shooting, out-rebounding, or just plain outworking you if you come in half-ready. The Kings still remember last year's playoff battle. Denver wants to remind everyone they're the defending champs for a reason. And Phoenix, with their trio of scoring threats, is still figuring it out, but has the firepower to explode at any moment. Then you've got teams like Portland and Houston, squads that on paper might not look like a threat, but in today's NBA, those are the landmine games. Young, athletic rosters with nothing to lose and everything to prove. If you sleepwalk through the first quarter, they'll build a lead and make you play desperate basketball for the rest of the night. That's how upsets happen. That's how you lose momentum. That's how seasons spiral before they even begin. And that's what makes the NBA Cup games even more intriguing. It's a brand new wrinkle in the regular season, and whether you're a fan of the format or not, the Warriors have a chance to use it as a launching pad. Their first qualifying matchup against the Denver Nuggets. You couldn't script a better opportunity. Knock off the champs early, plant the seed that this year belongs to you, and send a message across the league. But that only works if you get there with momentum. You can't roll into that game limping with a 3-6 record and expect to flip the switch. That's why the front office decisions need to match the urgency of the schedule. Yes, there's a plan in place. Yes, we know Seth Curry might be coming back on a more favorable deal once the books line up. But the season is already knocking. And in a year where the margin for error is razor thin, hesitation can cost you. If there's a shooter available, go get him. If there's a big man sitting on the market, make the call. You can't wait until the team is drowning to toss them a lifeline. That's not how winning franchises operate. And it's not just about adding talent. It's about trimming the fat. There are players on this roster right now who simply don't fit. Whether it's the scheme, the attitude, or the production, some guys are just holding spots that could be better filled. That's the hard truth. And the longer you delay those decisions, the more damage they can do. The NBA doesn't wait for anyone. It rewards the bold, the prepared, and the teams that know how to adjust on the fly. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Into an era, the basketball world may be on the brink of one of the most shocking shakeups in recent memory. Sources close to the matter suggest that Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors' iconic superstar, has reportedly accepted a contract offer from a rival team, sending shockwaves through the NBA landscape. If confirmed, this move would mark the end of a chapter that has defined modern basketball for over a decade. Curry, a 2-time MVP and 3-time NBA champion with the Warriors, has long been synonymous with the franchise. His deep three-pointers, lightning-quick handles, and charismatic leadership have not only brought titles to San Francisco, but have also changed the very way the game is played. Fans have celebrated his loyalty, often overlooking the occasional injury setbacks, believing he would retire in a Warriors jersey. But whispers have been growing louder, hinting that the Golden State era may finally be closing. The details of the deal remain unclear, though the buzz around the league is palpable. Insiders speculate that the suitor is a team hungry to shake up the balance of power in the Western Conference. While Curry has always been loyal to his team, the allure of a new challenge, or perhaps a more lucrative contract, could be enough to persuade even the most devoted star to take a leap. Warriors faithful are reportedly bracing themselves for an emotional farewell, with some expressing disbelief at the notion that their leader could be suiting up for a different jersey next season. NBA analysts are already buzzing about the ripple effects this potential move could create. Could this trigger a domino effect of trades and signings? How will the Warriors rebuild after losing the face of their franchise? And, most importantly, how will Curry adapt to a new system after so many years of being the centerpiece in Golden State's high-octane offense? Rumors suggest that while the deal is not yet official, both sides are in advanced negotiations, and a formal announcement could come sooner than anyone expects. As fans anxiously await confirmation, one thing is clear: the basketball world is holding its breath. Whether this turns out to be a bold reinvention of Curry's career or merely a tantalizing rumor, the conversation around the NBA is about to be dominated by the possible departure of one of the sport's most transformative figures. A Warriors dynasty may be fading, but a new chapter, potentially led by Curry himself, is on the horizon. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.